final stage in the process is to produce a three-dimensional model of the whole ride on this three-dimensional computer drawing system, which allows us to produce perspective views of the whole ride and manipulate those views to make sure that the final ride itself meets the client's requirements.
But we've only got like a 4-month envelope to build this thing, and you couldn't build it on the park from scratch in that time span. So we pre-assemble about 1.5 miles away and travel down big pieces. The main design are trestles, but because it's such a confined space, they're having to develop single columns that are a lot bigger and more solid than the rest, so they can. The footprint they leave is a lot smaller than the conventional trestle.
Meanwhile, back at Boffin Control, someone's already worked out what the ride should look like. Not as much fun as Sonic the Hedgehog, though. But all this is going to need a lick of paint, and I'm not talking about 2 tins of emulsion. Again, the answer lies in Bolton. What is it about Bolton? A firm that supplies the odd gallon of matte for a certain you-know-who's you-know-what. Is that the Queen Mum waving?
Well, the great thing about galvanising is it provides a layer of zinc all over the steel. Now, this is great in terms of long-term performance, but the bad thing is trying to find a paint system that will stick to it. And this is a real problem. And it's taken us 8 years of research and development with the galvanisers to actually develop materials which will stick to galvanising, which will be available in a range of colours. Once we've got the basic adhesion onto the galvanised surface, it is then based on 2-pack technology. Now, this means that we can give excellent chemical and abrasion resistance, which helps during the actual building of the process. Following on from that, it also means that the long-term durability, the gloss retention of the system, is far greater than an ordinary, say, an undercoat and gloss that we'd use at home. It's going to be at least 15 years before anybody needs to go back up on the ride to even think about painting it, and it'll probably last for much longer than that. In fact, it'll be, I should think you and I will both be dead and buried by the time it's ready for repainting.
And apart from anything else, Lee's have got a machine like this. Is it R2-D2's big brother?
Hello, it's Anne from Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Hi, I believe Brian Robinson spoke to somebody the other day with regards to accommodation for the American coaster enthusiasts. Right, can I actually reserve their accommodation? 27th, 28th and 29th of June.
Oh, it's the middle of winter, and brass monkeys with tears in their eyes are out looking for welders. But work must go on.
Well, the ferocious winds that we've had have precluded any high-level work, but we've managed to keep going on the relatively low-level stuff. However, the freak snow we got the other day really put a stop to everything. Everything was so slippy, it was treacherous up at height, anywhere in fact.
Well, there's so many safety devices, of course, in this, and I hate to give away all that because you like to kind of think that you might be able to come off, but there's so many safety devices on these rides that it's impossible for it to come off, or in fact for you to come out from the car. In local areas, there's not only the soil conditions, but there's earthquake conditions, wind conditions, and all that, and basically it's been designed taking all of that into consideration. So there's no problem with it. As we've stood on the top of it, you can feel the wind moving the ride, and in fact that's normal and that's expected. There's a small amount of vibration and movement, but that's all normal.
You'll need more than a set of ladders to paint this lot. In fact, what you really need are abseilers. Smart Alec.
The actual job's quite simple. It's just a matter of applying 2 coats of paint to all the exposed galvanised steel. But it's such a big structure that it takes you a long time to get the hang of where you are on it and keep a record. Then there's other complications that come in. The weather has been quite a big problem because of having to build it over the winter period. And then now the park's open at various times, and so we have to work along with where the people are. Obviously we can't work above people.
It's not actually open to the public yet. It opens to the public on the 28th of May. Yeah. No, what's happening at the moment is we're running the tests on the ride. That's probably why you've seen people...
Do you know what time she rang this Radio 5?
After 11.
Hello, Kate, it's Helen O'Neill. I'm fine. Are we still going ahead with the programme on the... Great.
No, I've not seen that. I'll give the fax number. It's 0253. All right.
Yeah. Yeah? OK. So it's 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. live. And it's Liz Kershaw and Mark Whittaker.
Until all the tests are complete, we can't allow any members of the public onto the ride. No, I'm afraid you can't go on for the test. It's not safe to...
But I could get you a consultant engineer who's done some stuff for me for the Des Lynam. How do they do that? Who's a good talker. And our engineer is a good talker. I mean, we can get you a couple wired for sound to just say, you know, the ride is now going up. They've spent the last 4 years building it, Kate. If they don't know anything about it, then we're in big trouble.
OK, you're very welcome. All right, bye-bye.
People are now turning up in droves. Usual code of conduct goes something like this. The member or joint member of the general public parks opposite the ride. The aforementioned person or persons then point up at the ride. Some can't resist a closer look. And finally, you have your photo take. Hey, father, look at the size of it. Yeah, people park, they point, aye, etc., etc., etc. Osteopaths will have a field day. Richard and Phyllis Buxton from Blackpool have become roller coaster groupies. They turn up most days to see what's going on. Actually, they turn up every day.
Well, I've practically seen nearly every boat going. Yeah, we've come, whatever the weather's been, we've come in our little red car, put the heater on, sat in the car, and then when it's got warm, got warmed up, and then get out and have a word with the workmen. We know all the workmen. It's been wonderful for us. Do you know, it's been life to us this winter, life, and I'm sorry it's coming to an end. I really am. Wonderful family, the Thompson family. I'm surprised, you know, that he's never been knighted for what he's done for this town and for the country. I shall be very disappointed if he doesn't get knighted for this ride.
Well, I'm not the one to judge on that. You've got to be mad to build roller coasters, you know. I'm not sure it brings knighthoods.
We're not breaking new ground. It's bigger and better than previous ones, but the safety principles are all well established. The dividing it up into blocks, the computer control of all the brakes, all that's well practiced and well established, and then will all be tested, of course, before we open to the public.
Well, it's about human nature. It's about what we are and the fascination that we have with the challenges, the thrills, the fantasy, the reality, the risks to some extent, but at the back of our minds we also have this notion that it's a relatively safe risk if you can possibly do that. It's the anxiety and the thrill that you actually have to sort of appreciate. It's something about actually being afraid, feeling fear, but not being afraid, and taking it on board and actually achieving it.
Time to introduce Blackpool Pleasure Beach's secret weapon. Mr T's mum, Mrs T. At 91, she's as lively as the new roller coaster promises to be. Heaven forbid. She even wants to be the first on it.
So I'm taking great pleasure in this one. I only regret that I'm at the age I am and feel I shouldn't try it, you see. I might be tempted yet, you know, but probably after the opening. I don't think I would dare do it then. I would have to wait a bit and then perhaps do it quietly.
unlike ordinary cars, which have just got one wheel at the corner of each of the car bodies, the cars that make up the train here have got lots more wheels. And although it may not be obvious, there's a wheel on top of the running rail, there's another wheel underneath the running rail which stops the train lifting up vertically, and then there's a wheel on the side of the rail. At each of the four corners there are these three sets of wheels, so that the train is guided completely down the roller coaster track and doesn't fall off either sideways or come off on the tops of the hills when it goes into negative G.
If I'm not in the first car, I'd like to know why.
We will wait and see. I might be sick of it by then.
Going over the top the first time, sitting in the front seat, yes, absolutely, because it does scare the pants off you. I mean, that's the whole point about it.
You go from being heavy, 4G, to nearly weightless very quickly, and it's going to be thrilling.
D-Day, 0700, 11th of May, 1994. Yankee Doodle daredevil John Lane is the first human to ride the world's tallest roller coaster. Then it's Mr. T's turn.
Great.
His moment has come.
Systems go. Have you got your heart monitor?
Yes, it's racing already.
I think roller coasters are just fantastic. They really are. The exhilaration of them is fantastic. The sheer thrill of them, the height of them, everything about them. It's a sort of lets the spirits free, as it were, really. And in this sort of cotton wool life that we live, you can't go mad very often, but you can on a roller coaster. You can't worry about your business, you can't worry about troubles at home. You just concentrate on the thrill of the roller coaster you're on.
Set to go were Seagulls dare. Rather you than me, Mr. T. Mother, I don't feel well. Put the kettle on, I'm coming home.
quite amazing. You just think it's the end of the world, actually. You feel like a lemming about to dive off a cliff, actually. Just sheer down. Fantastic. Really is. And it really is breathtaking. Amazingly breathtaking. It really is. Here we're right next to other buildings and rides and attractions. And you're so near that you really do think you're flying, don't you?
I think it'll be remembered as the 20th century equivalent of Blackpool Tower, something that has been a major turning point in the attractions of the resort, and something that will continue to ensure that Blackpool is at the forefront in terms of visitors.